Hi everyone, Paul Levy with Brownells.
I'm Keith Ford.
And today we're at the Rock Island auction getting another gun from the vault. Right here we have an FNC. This is personally one of my, I don't know if grail guns is the right term, but it's one of those guns that it's always been out there that'd be nice to have. So the FNC, it's the basically the firearm that followed the FNCAL, their kind of failed entry into the 5.56 market in the 60s. They had some lessons learned, and then when the various armies around the world were developing new 5.56 guns like the M16A2, moving to the SS109 or M855 cartridge, this is what FN came up with. Was eventually quite a bit more successful, or substantially more successful than the FNCAL. Yeah. The Belgians adopted it. Various other countries did. I believe the Swedish did as the AK-5.
I believe so.
So a pretty, fairly successful gun. Not as successful, say, as the AR-15 or, of course, an AK, but commercially pretty successful for them. And has a pretty strong legacy in FN's current lineup, which we'll get to here in a sec. So the gun itself, of course, 5.56, has a folding stock, very reminiscent of the FAL. You see some flourishes of FAL in this gun.
Quite a bit.
Especially, this back portion here on a paratrooper FAL. I guess I'll start back up front here. It's got an FAL almost style compensator up front. You've got your front sight, and then this portion here for launching grenades. I believe it's set up for rifle grenades, is that right? Yep, so Europeans seem to like rifle grenades more than Americans have. And then you have this distinctive handguard, which is almost like, say, an Israeli FAL or an AR-10 Portuguese
AR-10,
model.
Yeah.
So it's got stamped sheet metal halves that simply come apart, and then you got this polymer portion right here. A lot of stampings used on this gun, which most people have kind of gone away from today. Right here you have an adjustable gas system, pretty intuitive there. And then it is really, I should have mentioned this maybe up front, but it's kind of a modernized AK when you get inside of it. FN really kind of went away from the tilting bolt on the FAL. And
the rotary bolt.
Yeah, went to the rotary bolt. Now, the lower receiver on this is one of the major features that got carried over into the FN SCAR program. If you look at images of the very first SCAR prototypes, they essentially had an FNC lower receiver on them. So a lot of their development that went into this gun got carried over into that program, their lessons learned, that sort of thing. So I'm sure a lot of the bolt nuances got carried over into that. As far as the mechanism itself, AK, very similar to AK. So it's got a long stroke operating system. So the piston's connected to the carrier, travels the full length with it. On the receiver itself has this nice little doodad for your dust cover. So as the bolt reciprocates, it'll move up and down, allow the charging handle to go back and forth, but keeps any debris from getting into the receiver. So pretty clever there. And then at the back you have a nice just rear peep sight, adjustable for windage. Now I'll go ahead and just take apart the guts real quick. This is a civilian semi-auto version, so safe and fire only on this model. There are a few full auto versions that made it into the country.
They have gotten stupid expensive too.
Yeah, I bet this one's probably a $5,000 plus gun.
Minimum,
at this point. And this one is pristine, as are a lot of guns here at Rock Island. As far as disassembly, I checked out one of the FNCALs at Rock Island last time I came here. This is a heck of a lot easier to just actually open up and do simple field stripping on. So it's simply this pin here at the rear. You pop it if you're familiar with an AR-15. It's going to be pretty intuitive. I'm guessing they probably looked at the AR-15 for a lot of influence on how simple we need to make this and what should function. So hinge it open. You can separate the halves if you want to. I'll do that real quick to show off the firing mechanism first. So you got your upper and lower half, and there's your firing mechanism. Similar to an FAL, and that's really pretty close to what you see in the FN SCAR. They didn't deviate a whole lot from that mechanism. It is aluminum too. That's interesting where you see this transition. They've got a lot of stampings, and then they got machined aluminum. Yeah, which everybody's doing today, obviously. And then FAL grip. So one last
has the classic FAL look right there.
Yeah, great for shooting prone, not so much like the modern style shooting where guys got plate carriers and stuff. And then for the carrier, you simply retract it to the rear. You get your little dust cover out of the way in the right spot. There's your charger handle that comes out on the disassembly notch. And then there is your bolt and carrier group. I believe that's a chrome plating up front, which would be pretty darn nice for cleaning. And they look crude, these guns, but fairly functional. You can see they welded the op rod onto the carrier, and then there's your bolt carrier, or I'm sorry, your bolt. And any of you gun guys out there can tell that's AK inspired. Interesting thing at the same time frame, they were developing the FN 249 or the FN Mini-Mi, which this has some similarities, especially in the operating group. If you look at, here's the FNC as far as it operates, the op rod's on top. If you look at a FN Mini-Mi, it's basically this flipped upside down, and then it feeds from a belt up top, and the bolt will disassemble out the same way. It has this kind of lobe right here protruding, and to disassemble the bolt, you simply pull it forward. On the 249 or a Mini-Mi, the firing pin is fixed in place and hits the primer once the carrier goes all the way forward. On this, of course, you have a hammer-fired mechanism. So, a little nuance there where they're obviously the same teams working on.
Sort of like the AK and the PKM. PKM's flipped upside down.
FN may have borrowed some ideas or inspiration from there. Probably not a bad place to look when you're looking at military firearms. So there's the FNC field stripped anyways for your viewing pleasure. Thank you to Rock Island Auction for letting us take a look at this nice piece. So next time, hopefully we'll get another gun from the vault.